Here's the finished product. It's looking nice and black. Some of the rough spots here that you can see, let's see, does it show up on camera? Yeah, those spots. The original texture was really worn, so all I could really do was paint it black. But it looks a lot worse on camera than it does in person. It's nice and restored in person, so I'm really happy with the results. Highly recommend this process. It wasn't much work at all. I just cleaned it with some isopropyl alcohol, let it dry a bit, and then went to town with the product. And here's the headliner that I sprayed in the same fashion. Came out really nice. And here she is installed. Make sure to have a friend help you hold it in place while you slide in the corners. I had my dad help me with this one. It wasn't really possible to do it myself. Getting it into this really small area right here was a pain, but it's doable. I also installed the new dome light, which finally works with the new LED. Not sure if that's showing up on camera because it's so bright. But yeah, pick that up. If I could find more of those, I'll put them in the description box below. But this one was really hard to find. If you can salvage your old one, that's preferred. I couldn't fix mine. I tried cleaning the leads and all that, but long story short, got a new one instead. Really happy with the way the headliner turned out, guys. The black is really clean. I was kind of worried it was going to look uneven and the spray pattern would show, but none of that. It looks like a brand new black headliner. It's going to flow really well with well, not now, but the black interior that I'm going to have in here matches the door cards, and I'm going to have the roll cage in here as well. So it's going to look awesome. So here's the carpet I picked up from Stock Interiors. Feels good. This is the ultra plush pile or plush cut pile. It's the standard one without the mass backing. I didn't think the mass backing was necessary in my case, since I did put all that new insulation in the car. It does come with these small sound barrier things, this little cloth material, as well as the heel pad. This is just rubber. I don't know how long that'll last, but I will have some floor mats in place. First step is going to be to take this carpet and fold it in half and put it inside of the car first. Just see how it's fitting, and then align all of the spots where the seats are going to bolt up, so where those holes are, punch those holes, and then work basically from the inside to the out. Any extra, because they do say that the outside portion has extra material, so I'm going to have to cut that and align it with the car. They leave that for you to have some wiggle room because all cars are made differently, especially these old ones. They're not all assembled like to spec, you know. I'm not sure if this can be classified as taking the lazy man's way out, but I took out the handbrake as well as the shifter, covered that with some plastic so no dust gets into the transmission, and loosened these bolts right here. So maybe I can just slide the carpet in fully and then worry about the holes. Whereas when these things were sticking out, I wasn't even able to lay the carpet down flat. Alright, so far using the lazy boy method that I was mentioning earlier, I was able to push the carpet forward, line up the shifter area as well as the handbrake area, and cut those out. It's looking pretty good so far. I just gotta figure out a way to make this sit flat. I don't remember how the old one sat, but I would assume that this was flat. It didn't go up towards the tunnel. So I'm trying to figure that out right now. I do know that this area was cut before, whereas with mine it's just a continuous piece. So I'll probably cut a little slit there and maybe slide it down a bit. But yeah, so far it's coming in well, really well. Okay guys, it's starting to get a little dark out, but I've been cutting and measuring and cutting for the past few hours, just making sure everything fits. I got the shifter and the handbrake back in place after I cut around the edge. I also extended the cut here just so I can lower this area, make this flat and flush with the floor. I've test fitted these side panels to see how I can hold in the carpet, and they seem to be good, basically anchor points for the carpet. See, when I have the carpet going underneath, so when these secure, and there are some self-tapping screws that'll go through here, it'll basically hold the entire carpet in place. I might put some Velcro on the other side of this carpet, and then just so it sits flush and it doesn't lift, although it doesn't lift much right now. It's about an inch. I think the Velcro will keep it nice and clean. I'm almost done with the driver's side. It's starting to look really clean and nice. I just got this in place, but yeah, lots of measuring and lots of cutting. I've got the seat bolts in place as well, and everything, I mean, it doesn't line up perfect, but it does after a bit of cutting and work. Okay, I'm working on some of the final touch-up pieces for the dash. What I've done here is I've drilled 2 holes for the bracket that holds the remote base control knob in place. Now, in theory, this should just slide in. Let's see. It's difficult to do with one hand. There we go. Clicks right into place. So this is gonna look nice and flush with the rest of the components, and I could adjust the base from there. Now, I do have the wire running in through the back there. That should attach to the end of this. Look at how nice that looks. And adjust the knob. Looks nice and clean. All right. Attaching the wire to that was a lot more difficult than I thought it would be, but it's in. Okay, now that I have all the trim in place and everything lines up like how I want, I'm gonna take care of this issue right here. Now, originally I thought I was going to put Velcro on both ends of this and have it stick that way, but I went and picked up some adhesive spray. It's called Permatex. Let me show you guys the rattle can. It's called Permatex Automotive Headliner Adhesive. Now, I use this on some other parts, such as here, just to have the carpet stick better to the chassis, and it's been working amazing so far. So I'm going to use the same thing there. The method is pretty simple. You just spray, well, you got to shake the can, and then you spray both sides of whatever you're sticking together. Let it sit for about 5 minutes before you try to attach the two. It'll become like kind of tacky, and then you squeeze it together and it holds like super glue. I'll have a link to this in the description box, as well as the other tools and parts that I've used. This has been a huge savior today, so can't recommend this enough. Definitely pick this up if you're doing a carpet install or even a headliner install. I didn't need this for my headliner since I use the factory headliner with the attachment spots, but if you're doing a custom headliner, I think this would be of good use as well. Okay, after you've sprayed it on, it starts to turn pasty white like this. You wait about 5 minutes and it's gonna get a little drier and more like dried glue almost. And once that's done, then I could push the pieces together and hold them in place. So I think that's a much better solution than Velcroing. It'll be more permanent too, which is exactly what I want. Whew, gotta take a bit of a breather. I'm almost done with the front half of the car. Next up is going to be tackling the rear. Now, that shouldn't be too difficult given how flat this is. And they don't sell separate kits for this like they do with the front half of the car. So I ordered 2 yards of extra material from Stock Interiors in the same plush cut pile black carpet. And I'm gonna be using a template, I think, that I'll make out of cardboard or something to cut and cover the rear half of the car. I also have some spare wood that I'm going to be using to maybe create a flat panel that'll cover the trunk space. I don't know if I'm going to have a spare tire. I was thinking I would, but I'm kind of iffy on that so far. I think it'd look nice if it was nice and flush. I do have a AAA for towing. Not sure. I'll decide on that in a bit. But if I do, I'll be using that flat wooden panel to cover with carpet, and then that'll be a cool lift spot, and I'll have some extra storage there for tools and what have you, which is going to be nice. I think I may have a bit of difficulty when covering the wheel areas. just because it's round. I'll figure that out. The car is going to be going in for a half cage next week, I believe. So any of that carpet area that he's gonna need to cut out, I told him to, you know, be minimal with the cutting just so it looks clean. But yeah, it's slowly coming together. Let's continue on. Yuck.